Hi, welcome to Transforming Andrew. I'm Andrew Armstrong, and I want to cover today something that's really cool, and I've been playing with this gadget for a couple of weeks, and this is an exercise watch. Now, you may have seen in the past, I haven't even got them here, I've got them upstairs, I'm not going to get them for you, you know what they look like. Fitbit and a Sony smartwatch, okay? So I had a lot of watches, and those are my last two kind of digital watches that are supposed to do sporty things. One of them is based on the Fitbit universe, which really just counts steps that your phone does now anyway for free. If you've got Google Fit, it just does it all the time. And the other one is a Sony smartwatch, which is one of those Android Wear watches, which is great. It's a fantastically great high quality timepiece, but bloody useless at exercise, as you'll find a lot of these things. Once you start shifting over into doing real exercise and real running and real things, you know, you're moving away from those lifestyle products, you'll start to need something like this, which is a sort of more specialized type of training watch. Now I got this is the Garmin 630. It does not have the sensor on the back. It uses the heart strap. Again, not right with me, but you know what they look like. They're just a little black strap you wear around your midriff, and they transmit your heart rate to the watch itself. And I have to say, it was around £216, this thing. I got it quite cheap. I do like to shop around. I'll leave a link below to anywhere that I've seen it a little bit cheaper than, you know, regular high streets prices, so you can try to grab one. And I'll have to tell you, when I got this in the post, I thought, what a piece of crap. You know, it does not feel like a quality product. It does not feel like, you know, my smartwatch, which cost about the same, which is made out of glass and metal and stainless steel and high quality metal straps and things. So I was a little bit disappointed and taken aback with it. But actually, it's fantastic. There's nothing wrong with it. It feels a lot like a kiddie's watch, you know, but we have to remember Garmin products have come from the sort of stopwatch world and are sort of going towards the smart watch world. You know, they've had a long lineage of these, whereas smartwatches are already trying to steal money away from those high price watches that you've paid for in the past. So these are perfectly fine for what they are. Build quality actually is pretty good. You've got stainless steel buttons here on the side. So you've got a power button here, back button, some sort of lap, I don't know, split button, and then an activity button. That's where you select your activity starts. You can see on the screen, actually, if I hold it up there and the camera focuses, this is actually a Legend of Zelda screen face, because, as I said, this is a little bit like a smartwatch, so you can load apps for it and different screens for it. So I've actually removed the Garmin standard screen, and here it's the Legend of Zelda from the Super Nintendo or Nintendo days. And because I've where it says monsters here, I've got, that's basically steps. I've done more than my 10,000 steps. It shows me with 2 chunks of the Triforce, so I'm winning in the game. And your life meter here is actually the battery life of the watch. Goal, I'm not so sure about, 205. On the top here you can see there's a Bluetooth symbol, which means it's connected to my watch, and the little number next to it, the message box. That's because it does act as a smartwatch, and all your notifications on your watch, on your phone, actually come to the watch. So when you get a Skype, an email, a Facebook or whatever, you can turn this on and off, but you can see the notification list here. There we go. Come on, focus, 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 focus. So what you can see here is all your emails and notifications. You actually get them on the watch, just exactly like a smartwatch, and you can read them. You can't reply to them generally, but you can look at them. You can also control your music player from your watch, and you can choose what music app it defaults to. So I'll give you an example. If you're in the Google universe and you've got Google Music, or whatever they call it now, you can play and stop your music tracks. But if you've got Audible, for example, and you want to listen to your ebooks, you can set this to control Audible instead, so you can start and stop your ebooks while you're running. If you use Runkeeper and all those things, they all run in the background in the same way as normal, so they don't interfere with the Garmin or its software. The Garmin software actually on the unit itself is Garmin Connect. That allows you to log all of your various runs and activities and share them on the internet and view them on your desktop PC as well as your phone. So that's great. In fact, I can show you that right now. If you're used to the old Fitbits, basically the Garmin software is a little bit like the Fitbit software on steroids. So just to show you, that's my phone here, and these are all my various activities, and I can click on one of them. It shows me basically here the time it took, distance, calories, a map of it, and then you've got loads of data, absolutely loads of data, and this is really where it comes into its own. Just to give you an example, this one's got the pace, heart rate, cadence, altitude, the time you're in all your various training zones. The watch itself has a really cool feature. So it has its what do you call it? The Vo2 Max. It has your recovery timer. So once you do an activity, it'll tell you how many hours you need to recover for that. I'm just flicking through the options here. Remember, this is a touchscreen watch, by the way. Not necessarily a nicer touchscreen as a smartwatch, but it works fine when it's on your wrist. You've got a race predictor. How cool is that? Based on your stats, it will try to predict how long you'll run a 5K, 10K, half, or a full marathon. It's got all sorts of gadgets. Lactate Threshold. I'm not even sure what the lactate threshold is. It says here it's 8.2 minutes per mile, 166 beats per minute. So what I'm thinking is that's probably how fast you will go before your lactic acid will get too much for you to continue. Records, user profile, everything like that. The only thing I advise if you do get this watch with the touchscreen, or possibly any of them actually, because these buttons could get pushed by your clothes, is that once you start your activity, I've noticed just on one occasion I managed to stop the activity and I only noticed a mile in, which is kind of frustrating if you're a data hound like me and you want all your data. If you hold down the back button once you've started it, that'll actually lock the screen and the button so it can't be interfered with. So that's really useful. The weight of this is, I don't know, I'd say probably a couple 100 grams tops. It really doesn't weigh anything. You don't feel it on your wrist. It's absolutely suitable for the job. Waterproof as well, very strong. The strap has got a really neat feature because once you put the strap on, let me show you this. This rubber buckle here slides over and it's actually got a notch which locks into the holes in the strap. So that will not move, that will not move. So even if the strap failed here, this would actually stop it from opening up. So it's perfectly adequate. If you do want the one of the integrated heart rate, that'll be the model, the 235 has the integrated heart rate monitor. Otherwise, you can go for the 230, which is just like this. They do have a limitation that they really only cover runs, whereas this unit covers other activities. Now, if you use the Garmin Connect app on your phone or on your PC, you can actually reassign that. So you can record something as a run and then later say it was a, I don't know, a swim or a cycle. So you can rearrange that limitation even if it's not on the phone. There is one very important thing I wanted to mention. Oh yes, if you do have the Garmin Advanced Heart Rate strap, you get this additional thing called Run Dynamics, which actually measures how much time you spend in the air, how much time you spend on each foot. So if you're a really serious runner, you might find perhaps that you're spending too much time on your right leg, and then you want to start putting some more some more effort into your left leg activity. I don't know exactly how you use those. It's not really clear, but it's an additional data for you to use, and then you can look at that on the screen. If you do have problems sleeping as well, because this functions as a fitness tracker like any Fitbit, if you wear this all night, there's a very convincing app on there that actually does log your sleep, and it will transmit that to your phone every morning, and then you can look at the graphs on that. It's grouped into three areas of you being awake, light sleep and deep sleep, and obviously you're trying to achieve the right balance. If you turn in on the app, there's an insights section. This gives certain data to Garmin and they'll give you some analysis back to you, and it will tell you interesting things about your lifestyle. So for example, it thought that this week I was sleeping a little bit too long because I was measuring 10 hours per day for sort of 3 or 4 days in a row. See, that seems a little bit unconvincing to me, but it's tracking them, and that's because I'm normally falling asleep in bed exhausted at 8 p.m. and then getting up 8 a.m. So really that is about 10 hours. And what it did say in its insight, saying that more isn't better necessarily with sleep. And it might be worth something looking at, because if this week, as it appears to be, I'm sleeping a lot more than last week, is there an underlying cause for that, and is it something you need to look at? So that insights is really cool, and not only that, I'm sure that insights, as you run more, it's going to, or cycle, or whatever your activity does, it's going to gather that activity information and then give you something back, give you little reports. Perhaps it's noticed something, a pattern in your training that you can improve on. Now, there's a whole host of other functions on the Garmin software. There's segments, there's you can define courses, you can define workouts, 1,000,001 things that you will not find on a Fitbit or many of the other apps. Once you've got one of these, really, apps like Runkeeper and things like that really become defunct, because if you all the same information is gathered by the Garmin, and also the audio prompts and things like that you can turn on in the software on the Garmin connector on your phone, so it will tell you your pace and your speed and things like that at a regular interval. The only thing else to show you, everything on this watch, by the way, is Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, so you don't really need to worry about it. But just a bit like the old Garmin watches, you still have the USB cable here for charging it. And I have to say, one, it fits on very well and very convincing. And if you do plug that into your PC, you can actually use that to transmit data to your from your watch as well. That it's a very convincing battery life. Far more battery life in this than any smartwatch I've owned. I'd say this is about the same as the original Fitbit Flex. It seems to be that you could probably get away with at least 2 weeks with this watch. If you're doing some heavy activity and heavy exercise, because it's got built-in GPS, remember, it's very accurate, far more accurate than your phone. You probably only get, maybe you'll get 8 days, maybe, your mileage will vary literally on this, but it's, from a normal smartwatch where you're charging them every day, this thing seems to be just go on and on and on and on and on. So, really, it's a very convincing timepiece. You won't want to take it off. It monitors all your things. It's monitoring your life. If you've got the 235, it will monitor your resting heart rate too. That could be interesting to you. Very good product. I have to say, I only really own one other Garmin product. That's a Garmin Vo video recorder, which, by the way, this can control over Ant Plus, which is really neat. And I'm really turned around on these. I just thought there'll be a piece of junk, feel a bit crap, but no, actually it's a bloody good watch. I'm very glad I bought it, and I'm not anyway annoyed about the price I paid for it. Compared to the stats you'll get and how this is going to aid your training, I think this is a very good investment, and it will last you several years. So hopefully that's been of some use to you. Please feel free to subscribe or leave comments down below and ask me questions in that. And as ever, thank you for watching.